Everybody, my name is Jordan Detro. I am the government teacher here at Van Wert High School, and I just want to take a minute to briefly, before the student, I know you didn't come here to listen to me talk tonight, so I'm going to be real brief, but we just really want to thank everybody for their attendance tonight. We really appreciate this, and it was something that the students worked really, really hard on to make this happen. I think it's something that's necessary to really inform voters and also to really strengthen our local civic process. And this has been an amazing learning opportunity for my students. And so thank you to all of you that submitted questions and came to give a little bit of your time tonight to be here to learn about the candidates, but also in my mind you're here supporting our students here at Mayoral High School, and that means a lot to me personally. The one other thing that I wanted to say is just please silence your cell phones for the evening. So give that a double check, be respectful and courteous to the candidates, so that way there's no interruptions. Which reminds me I need to check my cell phone. I think that is all I've got for our students are going to take this over. This is a student-led forum, so you'll be hearing from them throughout the night, doing introductions and asking questions, and we'll get our candidates down here so we can get started.
Welcome to the Van Wert Mayoral Forum. We will be your moderators for tonight's event. Before we begin, we wanted to take a moment to explain the rules and procedures that will be used this evening. First, we will be introducing all three candidates, providing you information about their backgrounds, education, and experience.
Following our introductions, the candidates will have 2 minutes to present their opening statements. Then we will begin with questions submitted by Van Wert citizens. Each candidate will have 1 minute and 30 seconds to respond to each of the questions. We will rotate who speaks first throughout the night. Additionally, candidates will not have the opportunity for rebuttal during this forum.
After all the questions have been answered, the candidates will have 2 minutes to share their closing remarks. After the candidates have been dismissed, those in the audience will have the opportunity to greet the candidates in the lobby.
All right. Linda Egler-Evans was born and raised in Van Wert. She spent nearly her entire life living in Van Wert, while also spending a number of months in Tucson, Arizona. She is a graduate of Van Wert High School and earned a bachelor's degree in psychology from Temple University, as well as a master's degree in directing and filmmaking from Columbia College. She has served on a number of boards and organizations, including the Community Concerts Association, the Wassenberg Art Club, the Cable TV Commission, and the General International Center of Women's Playwrights. She was a speaker for Turning Point USA and elected winner of the 2022 Republican Arizona House of Representatives race in District 18. Ms. Egler-Evans is the daughter of the former Stan Egler. She has 1 daughter and 2 grandchildren.
Frederick Fisher has been a resident of Van Wert area for his entire life. He is a graduate of Lincoln View Local Schools and furthered his education through commercial trades in Chicago, Illinois to receive HVAC training. He is an entrepreneur owning and operating a local business since 1974. He has previous experience serving on Van Wert City Council and currently sits on the Design Review Board. He is also the current president of the Van Wert Airport Board. Mr. Fisher is a partner to Janet Crummy, and he has 2 children and a grandson.
Kenneth Markward has been a resident of Van Wert for his entire life. He is a graduate of Van Wert High School, received a bachelor's and a master's degree from Bowling Green State University, both in the field of education. He has also completed additional coursework throughout Weinbrenner Theological Seminary. Mr. Markward is the current mayor of the city of Van Wert and has also served on the Van Wert City Council, Van Wert City's Board of Education, and the Vantage Career Center's Board of Education. He's married to his wife, Marie, and together they have 4 children.
We will begin with our opening statements. Mr. Markward, you will go first. Mr. Fisher, you will go second. And Ms. Egler-Evans, you go third.
Is there more light up here?
I'm not positive. I'd have to mess with some switches and I might mess it up.
Okay.
I'd like to thank the government class for setting this up this year. And I'd like to thank all of you for coming. I know there are a lot of other choices you could have made about what to do tonight rather than coming here. Things got off to kind of a slow start for me as mayor. My term began in January of 2020. And so almost immediately, we started having to deal with the consequences of the virus that came to us from China and the decisions that our government made about shutting things down. So almost everything that we were starting out to do had to come to a halt. And then a little over a year later, our state legislature overruled the governor and things in Ohio started to open back up again. So since then, things have started moving along. We've made some headway on our projects. We're still suffering from those lockdowns, especially with supply chain issues. But we're just about back to normal. Right now, the city finances are in decent shape. We've got good things happening in each of our departments. And to keep those things going, I would be honored if you would choose me to serve another term. Thank you.
I want to thank everybody for showing up tonight. Enjoy the time to be able to spend with you. I up and started my business back in January of '74, so this coming January it'll be 50 years I've been in business here in town. So I've up and been able to see a lot and witness a lot while I've been in business. I'm on the airport board, president of that. Been president for the last 4 years, helping it along. I'm on the design review for this city. Have a vast interest in van work. Over the years, I've up and been into a lot of different things, and I want to stay involved. I enjoy seeing it move forward, and hopefully I can continue to help move it forward.
Charter City, first on the ballot fall 2020, set the tone of secrecy and bad communication with the public, setting the stage for the mayor's 4 years. July 10th this year, when I got signatures to get on the ballot, I went door to door saying, "I am Linda Egler Evans and I'm running for mayor." Response, "Mayor? What mayor? We don't have a mayor." Then for the 8th signature, the man who was head of the Van Wert nonprofit bellowed, "I called the mayor 3.5 years ago and he never called me back." Yet, from your complaints, I found my platform, communication. Of the 3 candidates, I'm the only one going door to door listening to your problems. These last 4 months, I've been to over 640 doors in Van Wert. Future, from you, I got the idea when you told me you didn't feel comfortable up there in your own city council chambers for the mayor's roundtable. 3 from each ward. These people will rotate every 3 or 4 months. You will speak about what council is missing and what your ward needs. From funds from the controversial mayor's raise, I will form the youth board, where students will learn how to lead a committee meeting, how to make an agenda, and debate. And this idea is from you. I will introduce field trips for children to the city building where they will learn how things work and, most important, ask questions and get answers. Also, I'd like to have a sesquicentennial 1776 committee celebration, July the 4th, 2026. I'm the only candidate who will continue to go door to door after I am mayor. The Times Bulletin said it will advertise the zone. I will concentrate on raising morale in all city departments. I am the one you're calling since July 22 to solve your problems with streets, property disputes, alleys, sewers, and zoning. I will continue to get you answers. Thank you.
Just a minute to reset.
We will now begin with the first question. What work experience or skills do you have that make you qualified to manage the city? Mr. Fisher, you will answer first. Ms. Egler Evans, you will answer second. And Mr. Markward, you will answer third.
I think the work experience is being a business owner for all these years. I've got budgeting, I've got different customer traits that keeps me in skills for it. Being on city council a few years ago, I've got the experience through the city, knowing how it works and able to work through that. The boards that I'm on, I've had a lot of interactions there to be able to negotiate and work with people. So I feel that I've got a good fit to be in the mayor's spot and move forward.
Ms. Evans, you will now answer the second.
Okay. Being the director of film crews in Chicago taught me the most about leadership. We were extorted not once but 2 times by the mob in Chicago. Instinctively, I knew all eyes were on me. I knew I had to shout them down, and I did. As I shouted over the phone for us, my crew cheered in the background. Filming was delayed but went forward. A good leader finishes a job, bringing the team along. A great leader lets every member feel as though without them, that job could never have been accomplished.
Mr. Markward, you will now answer.
My work experience was involved with public schools, and during that time I had to work with a variety of people because I didn't get to pick my students. So there was quite the range of personalities that we had to work through issues sometimes, which is somewhat like city issues when parties can discuss things, don't always come to an agreement, but you work through it. As far as the skills, the ones that I may not already have had, I have been able to develop over these past 4 years of having done the job. Thank you.
Recently, Van Wert citizens approved a ballot measure to elect city officials in a nonpartisan manner. Do you support this change to our local election process? Ms. Egler-Evans, you will go first. Mr. Markward, you will go second. Mr. Fisher, you will answer third.
I do not support this. This is part of Charter City, and already you have 2 times voted it down in Van Wert. What they have done is to parse what did not go through into individual parts. And nonpartisan primaries is one part that has been already slipped through. Another part that they will try to slip through is having a part-time mayor. That's part of Charter City.
Mr. Markward, you will answer.
Thank you. Yes, I support this. In fact, I am the one who gathered signatures on petitions to have it placed on the ballot. Voters approved it by approximately 2-to-1 margin, and my motivation was to save the expense of what historically has been uncontested November elections, because most of the time the contested election was in May, and then whoever showed up like 4 years ago, only the mayor's race was contested. All the other city offices were uncontested. So to save the expense of having 2 elections when only one was necessary, I started that process, which the voters approved. Thank you.
Mr. Fisher, you will answer.
Yes, I support it. I feel that being nonpartisan, we may get a larger variety of candidates to where we have a better choice of who we'd like to pick. So I'm full in favor of having nonpartisan. Thank you.
All right, the third question is, Van Wert citizens have twice rejected an initiative to become a charter city. As mayor, what would be your stance on this issue going forward? Mr. Markward, you will answer first.
Yeah, thank you. In 2020, there were a little over 5,000 people took out a ballot, and the measure was defeated by just a little over 150 votes. So since we were still in the lockdown phase, I don't blame council for trying again the next year, because we weren't able to have meetings like this in 2020 to help educate people about the issue. In '21, it was also defeated, as you know, but it wasn't defeated by as many. It only was defeated by a little less than 150 votes. But after that, council decided twice was enough, and in the last 2 years, I've not heard anybody on council discuss that they wanted to put it back on the ballot. So we do have 6 people running for contested council seats. I don't know what any of them think about it, but if they were to put it back on the ballot, that would be council's decision. Thank you.
Mr. Fisher, you will answer.
Yes, Charter City, we've gotten along great the way we've been for years, but a charter city does have a few benefits. The biggest problem is, like Ken made the comment, education is a lot, and without getting education out there, a lot of people don't understand the pluses as well as the negatives on it. So I can go either way, whether if there was a motion up and move forward and it passed, I'd be okay with it. If we stay the same, we're still going to get along. Move forward. Thank you.
Ms. Agler Evans, you will answer.
Yes, what Charter City is, it's a movement towards central government, and it takes away your rights as citizens. Anything that does that, I think, is wrong. This is the United States. We are a statutory city, and we don't need Charter City. What you have there, you have a group that would be first elected, a group of 10 or 12 people, but thereafter, you would not be able to vote for a mayor or other officers. They would vote for things on their own. So it takes away the rights of you, everyday citizens. Don't fall for it. It's not a good thing. You can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig. They could call it home rule, but it still takes away your rights. And I will continue to communicate. It also is part of the trouble we have right now with communication. They're going through every effort to try to keep things away from you. That means knowledge about all the different legislative things that are going on. They don't want you to have hearings up there anymore. We tried to have a hearing about Charter City up there. We were not allowed. This is a very bad thing for Van Wert. And as I go walking door to door, you don't want it either. And you don't want to hear about it anymore, you say. We voted on that twice and it failed. Keep it that way.
Fourth question. Are there any specific city regulations or ordinances you would seek to add, change, or repeal if elected? Mr. Fisher, you will go first. Ms. Agler-Evans, you will answer second. And Mr. Markworth, you will answer third.
At this time, I'd have to up and say, no, there's nothing I'm looking to change until I get a chance to spend time reviewing them, and then I might up and have a different opinion. Thank you.
Ms. Agler-Evans, you may go.
I have an opinion. So to me, right now, it says that when people come up for a talk, they come up to City Council and they have a complaint, they can only talk for 2 minutes. As I've gone walking door to door, I have people enraged that they took out time one evening to go up there and wasted it. They were told, okay, your time is up. They didn't even get started. It wasn't discussed, and they were sent home. What I would change is the length of time that people had to talk. About 20, 25 years ago, it wasn't that way. You had many opportunities. The public felt very invited to go up there. I would also train people, our everyday citizen, how to have a hearing, how to make it effective on either side of an issue. We need more community participation, and you have to feel as though it's your home, because it is.
Mr. Markworth, you answer.
Thank you. I don't have any specific tonight. Over the past 8 years, I was on council for 4 years, now mayor for 4 years. There have been a number of ordinances that have been changed, usually because someone brought it to our attention and felt that it was a problem. And that ranged anything from a no parking spot to a speed limit change to some other thing. But as things come up, as you know from your government class, the separation of powers, it's city council that changes ordinances. Mayor can make suggestions, but it is council that makes that decision. Thank you.
This is question number 5. Do you have any goals for the mega site or Vision Industrial Park? What can you do to help attract larger businesses in Van Wert? Or to Van Wert, sorry. Ms. Egler-Evans, you'll answer first, then Mr. Markward, then Mr. Fisher.
As I understand, there's no electricity that goes out there or gas. And I believe in about 2016, my father was talking about this. He died in 2017. It had been touted as a place that maybe Honda would have come to. There's a lot of talk back in those days about that. And when they didn't come, it was pretty much left alone. I think that we do need to have gas and electricity go there. And so it is in some way prepared for an industry that would want to come in. We do have economic development now, especially with Van Wert Forward working so hard, and that I think that we might get lucky. So I would develop that.
Mr. Markward, you may answer.
Okay, thank you. And you asked about the mega site, industrial park. When companies send in their request for information, they work through WADC, the Van Wert Area Economic Development Corporation. They never want to talk to the mayor first because they don't think that anybody that's been elected to something can keep their mouth shut. So they put in their request to the WADC with their 5 main questions. They want to know what kind of land is available. Do you have water? Do you have sewer, electric? Most want gas, some don't. Occasionally they want rail. At that point, they don't care about anything else because they've got a list of 100 places they're looking at. They don't care if we have a library or a school or anything else because if we can't have those things that they're looking for, we get knocked off the list and they go somewhere else. So the mayor's involvement is never at the initial stage in the last 4 years anyway. Thank you.
Mr. Fisher, you may answer.
Yes, when I was on council several years ago, there was money put up to do the study for the preliminary setup for utilities. So that's already been done, and put them on alert that if it would get a tenant to come in, they're ready to go with the utilities on it. Part of what we've been doing at the airport is getting the airport set up to where we can accept corporate jets in to help bring economic development in that could use the mega site. So in one essence, I've been working for several years trying to get that set up for development right now. So I'm holding a lot of hope that we do get it, and I know there's been talk, so within the near future, maybe we'll have something there.
This is question number 6. What do you think should be the city's role in the continuing downtown development project? Mr. Markward, you will answer first, then Mr. Fisher, and lastly, Ms. Egler-Evans.
Okay, thank you. I assume you're talking about the project that Van Wert Forward is conducting. So I would say that the city's role is almost nothing because Van Wert Forward owns those buildings that are part of that project. They're the ones that are paying for the remodeling and getting tenants put in. Now, the city's role is not quite nothing because it has involved some changes to some sidewalk, storm sewers, things like that. So our guys are definitely in on those processes to make sure they're done according to standard. We don't just turn contractors loose. We try to promote progress by not being a hindrance, but we can't allow substandard projects to go in. But as far as money being put into the buildings, that would be Van Wert Forward. Thank you.
Mr. Fisher, you may now answer.
With the downtown revitalization, I feel that the city really shouldn't be putting any money into it, other than if it's a utility issue, or like Ken said, the sidewalk, something that we're responsible for anyway. Because it'd be no different than you building a house and wanting the city to take care of it for you. It is owned by the foundation, and they're the ones responsible for it. Now, I'm all about up and helping with the economic development to get businesses in to help fill the stores and all. And I think that's more the city's role than money-wise. Thank you.
Ms. Egler-Evans, you may now answer.
We have the tax money. We are shepherds of your tax money. So we have to be extra careful not to mingle it anywhere else. One thing, though, that we can do, which I did, going door to door, I went to Truly Divine Bakery and saw Melanie. And she was so discouraged because her pipes had broken and frozen. And she said, Linda, I'm just going to get a trailer. People know me now. I'm going to move out of this building. I said, please don't, Melanie. Please don't. Give us a chance, give time a chance. You will reopen your front door. So I think psychologically we can help. If we know somebody who's on the verge of getting out, we can try to discourage that. Or if we know somebody that wants to move in, we can also help in that way. So I think psychologically, though, it's very important for us to have a positive attitude about it.
Van Wert seems to be in need of more affordable housing. Do you see any way the city can help with this issue? Mr. Fisher will speak first, then Ms. Egler-Evans, and then Mr. Markworth.
Thank you. The council has, I would be willing to work with the council to continue. We've got 13 blighted houses now that's in disrepair that either needs to be repaired or taken down. And that was formerly the land bank doing that. Now it's over to the council's portion. I have spoken with 2 different land developers on doing housing developments. And there is one scheduled for 35 houses to be started in the near future. So the most I can say is we'd keep working with the developers to see what we could get to come in and how we could expand the housing. Thank you.
Ms. Egler-Evans, you can respond.
About affordable housing, I was up there at City Council and with the Straley property on Jennings Road, and they started out saying that the houses would be 110 to 120,000, and then it ballooned. Now 110,000 is not affordable housing, but that's how initially people generally announce it when they come to City Council. There's not much discussion about it. What you have down there next to the Marathon gas station, that kind of housing is affordable housing supported by the state. We generally don't get into that. That's something we might look into in an area that wouldn't bring down the other values of houses around. We have to find a vast area. Do you know where I'm talking about? There by the Marathon when you go down Irvin Road. And it's a good location for those people that live there because they can do their shopping, they can walk or ride a bike. But we can look into these areas, but we need a vast area and we get funding from the state for affordable housing.
And Mr. Markworth.
Thank you. I don't think the city is ever going to be involved with subsidizing housing like you might hear about in some larger cities. We do our part to help promote all types of housing. When someone moves into a new house, they're usually leaving another house, and sometimes it trickles on down. One of the things that the land bank did was bring down some properties that now have opened up land where new houses could be put in. The same thing may happen with our blighted properties, but the ones that are on the blighted property list are ones that have been empty and are just sitting there unoccupied. And we are using this section of revised code to help motivate the owners to either sell it, fix it, tear it down, but put it back in, put that spot back into use. And all of these things go together to help provide housing. Thank you.
This is question 8. Do you feel the city is doing a good job enforcing ordinances pertaining to upkeep of property, lawn mowing, and tree trimming? And what can we do to improve in these areas? Ms. Agler-Evans, you go first. Mr. Markwood, you go second. And Mr. Fisher, you go third.
This is a relatively new idea, and I think it's working pretty well. Sometimes, especially in the beginning, they went overboard, and some people were in the hospital, or it could have been avoided. It was kind of an embarrassing situation for all. But we do have Bill Marshall, who does that as a city councilman. And it's worked out, I think, pretty well. In fact, in some areas, initially in Van Wert, they thought as though in wards 1 and 2, people were unnecessarily being picked on. But we had a little talk at Wesley Church just about 3 weeks ago, and the whole congregation wanted one particular house on Blaine Street to either go away or be fixed up. So everybody wants to have a nice neighborhood. It doesn't matter what ward you live in, but it's best, I tell them, if a fellow citizen contacts City Council or Bill Marshall about that, instead of us going around and policing these types of things. Thank you.
Mr. Markwood, you may now go.
Most of the ordinances we have that concern these have been on the books for a long time, but until recently they were primarily enforced after somebody complained. And the new police chief had a desire to see these ordinances more strictly enforced. And one of the reasons that it caused a bit of a commotion that he hadn't thought of was the number of people who have the Ring doorbell and things like that, that they thought they were just quietly putting the notice on the doorknob, and then someone would get notified that someone was at the door. And so they changed how they go about doing that. But the enforcement is still primarily if someone else calls to complain. The ordinance is there. The police officers are authorized to enforce every city ordinance. One of the ones that the rules that got changed was the amount that the city will charge if a person has been cited for tall grass, if the city has to mow it. There were a couple of out-of-town banks that had repossessed properties that basically were using the city as their lawn mowing service because it was cheaper. And so council realized there was a problem and they increased that fee. That's one way they reacted to the situation. Thank you.
Mr. Fisher, you may go.
Yes, in the past year or so, I think it's improved quite a bit. You've seen that people take more pride in picking things up, taking care of it, because they know that they're going to stand a chance of getting fined if they don't. So right now, I think we're on the right track. We just have to work it out a little bit more. Thank you.
We're now on question 9. Currently, the Van Wert County Humane Society is serving the city by accepting animals brought in by the Van Wert Police Department. If elected, what would your position be on supporting these services with local tax dollars? Mr. Fisher, you will answer first. Ms. Agler-Evans, you will answer second. And Mr. Markwood, you will answer third.
Okay, this is kind of a hot topic. It came up when I was on council as far as them wanting to go to a no-kill and wanting the city to up and kick in money for it. Our suggestion while I was on council is you're kind of creating your own problem to a certain degree, so at that point, maybe fundraisers would be a better option. I do have an issue with them wanting to house more than what they can take. And right now, I don't know of any simple solution for that. So it's just kind of play it by ear and see where we go. But as far as the city putting money into it, I'm not really sure that that's our place to do. Thank you.
Ms. Egler Evans?
I would
answer.
think that using tax dollars to take care of that problem would be unending. That kind of thing, if we could make the buildings larger, take in more animals and so forth, but there's so many animals. I don't want to get tax money involved with that. I have to think of a creative solution.
Mr. Markwood?
I think the question needs corrected a little bit. I'm almost certain that the Van Wert Police Department does not take animals to the Humane Society. There is a deputy sheriff that acts as the dog catcher, and perhaps that's what the person who submitted this question meant. There is a difference between the dog catcher and the Humane Society, and the Humane Society is a charity that has taken upon themselves the idea to prevent the dog catcher from euthanizing animals. There are many charities in the city that are used by city residents, but they're not supported through city council's budget. I don't think supporting the Humane Society is a good idea. Supporting the dog catcher, the city has done, and the Humane Society and the dog catcher do have a relationship. Helping the dog catcher might help the Humane Society, but I don't think we should be supporting charities, or many other valuable charities as well. Thank you.
What are your opinions or views on the homeless population in Van Wert? Can the city do anything different to address this issue? Ms. Egler Evans, you go first. Mr. Markwood, you go second, and Mr. Fisher, you go third.
This initially came up in about, it's about 19, I think it was 2010, 2011, and Dr. Scheid and I from First Methodist tried to get homeless that were staying out there next to Walmart in that growth area. There were some homeless people, and I wanted them to come and see him so they could show their legs to him because I thought they had diabetes. As we learned over time, they wouldn't make their appointments up at First Methodist. I couldn't get them to go. And he explained to me very kindly that it was usually a mental disease of some sort that helped to make them homeless, that you did so much for them, but they, in essence, preferred to be on their own. So First Methodist went ahead and has done an awful lot for the homeless in those next years that went by. And Haven of Hope was created. I was behind the scenes because I had a little bit of knowledge about the people that initially were on the board. It turned out to be what I would call a place where people were coming that were drug addicts. They were given vouchers to stay at the Fountain Hotel by Catholic Charities. They would go there and then maybe have a drug party or tuck their alcohol and drugs up in the eaves under the porch. Oh, well.
Mr. Markwood?
Thank you. This is related to some of our earlier questions about housing. Increasing available housing will help. And there are other avenues, as she has just mentioned. Most of them are related through charities, and I don't think that would be a function of city government. Thank you.
Mr. Fisher?
Well, we all know that homeless is a big problem. Unfortunately, it seems like a large portion of them are drug addicts that creates their own problems in this aspect, so short of charities helping them out, the city's got their hands kind of tied rather than taking on that role as their mom and dads. So I don't know that there's anything as a mayor or as a city council could really do to up and make a difference at this point. Thank you.
Question number 11. Do you think that the construction of a city or county pool is attainable for Van Wert? Would you support this initiative? Mr. Markward, you will answer first.
Okay, yes, I do think it is attainable, and I believe one of the reasons we don't have the pool that we had was because it was built, the money was raised for that, but they didn't adequately take into consideration the funds needed to operate it or maintain it. I think if we look at a pool as part of our entire parks system, that we could find a way to fund the entire parks, what we are doing now, as well as constructing, operating, and maintaining a swimming pool. I would use Delphus as an example. They have a 0.25% income tax that's dedicated to parks they use for their parks and pool. Van Wert has a much different tax base than they do. I think we could do all of the things that I've just mentioned at some rate less than what Delphus has to use. Thank you.
Mr. Fisher, you will answer next.
We was in a meeting here the other night on the pool situation, and it come up that maybe the first thing we need to do is look at putting a survey out to see how many people really want it. I've had a lot of people ask me about a pool. I think it'd be a good idea, but what I told everybody, I could be behind it, and I would be behind it, as long as there was funding to where we could maintain it. If we can't maintain it, why build it and let it go to waste? Thank you.
Ms. Egler-Evans, you may answer.
On that list of 100 variables, so when other companies come to town, I guess a lot of them are looking for pools or recreation. It's a very popular feature that might move us up that list. So I think that draw, that attraction is well worth looking into very, very seriously. I think people would enjoy it. When I was going door to door, I came across people who already had pools, but they wanted the social aspect of getting together, having parties, and so forth. Sustainability is the important thing. If we're going to do it, we have to do it in a certain way, but then people say they don't want more tax money added. I'm all for going to a place like getting as much grant money as we can, going to Central, who keeps saying that they want a pool, and perhaps getting some funding, and just going to the different businesses in town that are huge, and trying to get extra money. But it looks as though we would probably have to put it on an initiative to put it on your taxes. And so I think a lot more exploration has to be done. Having it on the ballot and saying it's going to be on the ballot 2024 is premature.
Question 12. Do you think that our public parks are properly funded? Is there more that can be done to improve the quality and maintenance of our parks? Mr. Fisher, you will answer first, then Ms. Agler-Evans, you will answer second, then Mr. Markle will answer third.
Thank you. The Parks Department has been on the lean side for quite a while. They could use more support from the city, a little more money into their coffers. They've been short-staffed, so they're doing about as good as what they can with the staff that they've got. It would be nice to have them see another one or two people in there to help maintain it better. And I think it'd put on a lot better picture for the community. if we did take care of that, and they could have them cover all the parks with a little more ease and be able to breathe. Thank you.
Ms. Agler-Evans for answer.
My dad, Stan Engler, started the Parks Department, and it was because I wanted to play girls softball and have a league. And it's a wonderful thing to have a park system in a town like Van Wert, and I think we've done very well keeping individuality in different locations, and the Niswangers giving us that big amount of money for Franklin Park. I know that that's used a lot. Going forward, we need a plan. We can't just be saying we're going to put a pool here. I'd like to see an ice rink a lot. Just dotting our spaces with things without a plan cannot be done, and I would not be willing to give an income stream to the Parks Department without a plan, a very specific plan. Thank you. And the mayor is very much a part of that.
Mr. Merkel, your answer.
Okay, thank you. Yes, of course, this is related to the previous question, so I'll include the idea of the pool. The Parks has done very well considering that on the lean years, they kind of get the leftover funds after all the essential services are provided for. So that's why it would be nice, one of my goals, not a statement of fact, I have a goal that we will be ready to ask for this issue in November. And best case scenario, because we will look for grants and donations, but best case, you're going to fund the construction of a pool. You're not going to get grants and donations to fund the operation or maintenance. And the reason I mentioned income tax was not just because that's what Delphus does, is because, well, it's hard to use the word fair and tax in the same sentence, but City Council has two options, it's property tax and income tax. The income tax protects seniors on a fixed budget. Under Ohio law, the income tax does not apply to retirement income, like Social Security, pensions, IRAs, and such. And the other one is for a person, suppose you're working, you have a house, and your business has a downturn, you get laid off, your property tax does not go down. But if your income goes down, your income tax goes down proportionally. That's why I would be more in favor of an income tax than a property tax. Thank you.
This is question 13. Do you think the city could afford to hire a part-time or a full-time code enforcement officer to assist the law director in resolving ordinance violations? Would you support the creation of this position? Ms. Egler-Evans, you will go first.
I don't think it's necessary. He gets paid an awful lot of money, our law director, and he has a paralegal. I don't think we need a code enforcer.
Mr. Markwood.
Yeah, it doesn't seem the bottleneck to be with code enforcement officer through door hangers and issuing, they don't call them summons, but the paperwork. It's getting it past that to the court. So we have a law director, assistant law director, and he has an aide. It's possible that they might need more help, but we don't need any more help with code enforcement. But so far, he's not requested that. It just sometimes takes a while. When someone gets a violation, they have so many days to correct it. They're not immediately fined. Door hangers are not a fine. It's a notice to correct the situation. Same thing with the blighted houses, the blighted properties we're working on. The first one we started on approximately 18 months ago, and it's not because there aren't enough people working on it. You have to give a person a chance to correct the problem, and then it has to work its way through the courts. Thank you.
Mr. Fisher.
At this time, I don't see the need for a code enforcement person, part-time or whatever. They're getting the code violations marked out. It's just, as been previously said, that getting them to court is the biggest issue. So that's more of the bottleneck. If that would move faster, I think you'd have less needs of the code enforcement officer. Thank you.
What is your position on the current rate of council pay or on the salaries of mayor, auditor, safety service director, and law director? Are they set appropriately for their duties? Mr. Markward, you will answer first.
All right, thank you. I'll give my opinion, but then I will start by saying that this would be a good question for people running for council because they're the ones who set all of these salaries. The salaries for mayor, auditor, law director are in place for whoever takes those positions in January. The council pay is set until it gets changed. The first one I mentioned is the ordinance that they passed was for 4 years. So they'll have to do something about that at the end. The safety service director that we currently have is in an unusual situation. When he was brought back from retirement, he was given a frozen salary that was agreed upon at the time, so that won't change as long as he's in that position. Are they set appropriately for their duties? Depends. I mean, it's definitely set now for the next 2 years at a minimum for council, the next 4 years for the other positions. If council brings it up, or when they bring it up, I hope they do it in enough time to have it finished before the filing deadline. Thank you.
Mr. Fisher?
After being on council and witnessing what all goes on and what they're in control of, at this point, yes, I'd say their wages are appropriate. It was kind of a shame, the debacle that they got into this last time. Hopefully, as Mr. Markwood said, they'll work a little more earlier in the season to get things rectified for the next time. But I think the wages are appropriate. Thank you.
Ms. Eagler-Evans?
The relationship between the mayor and the city council is very important. You cannot undercut or insult your city council when you're mayor and think that you're going to be able to work with them. These people work very hard, and they were insulted. They were told that they only do their job while they're there during the meeting. That is not true. And so one council person came to me and said, I was told to go directly to Jay to tell all that I was supposed to do. I'm not supposed to give a report, and this is a new council person. So it looked as though she wasn't doing her job. And I said, who in the world told you not to give your report? And she said, the mayor.
Would you plan to retain the current safety service director? What would be your method of replacing him should he retire in the near future? Mr. Fisher, you will speak first.
Well, Jay's been on for a long time. He knows a lot about the city, so I wouldn't look at replacing him right away, but I would be interested in his opinion, how much longer he wants to stay, and then ask him if he'd help pick out his replacement. Thank you.
Ms. Eagler-Evans, you're up next.
During the city council meetings, part of our situation is that because Jay is in charge of, I guess, I thought it was 8 departments, it's 10. It's all of the departments, and it's not even supposed to be that way. That when money is needed or something is needed in all the departments, city council is not advised as to what is going on or what the request is. What you want to do on city council is to do all the requirements that are according to the statutes of the state of Ohio, which makes the city council the legislative branch. The mayor is executive. We have city council as legislative. If the legislature is not included in the process, then the people in all the wards are not included in the process. So it's the methodology that I object to offhand, that is seen over and over in the city council meetings. And Major said, if you're going to be on city council, to just watch the meetings and you'll know how they're supposed to go. That's incorrect. Don't watch the meetings to know how it's supposed to go. There's specific regulations.
And Mr. Markler.
Thank you. This is one of the few duties that Ohio Revised Code specifically mentions, is that the city mayor is responsible to appoint safety service director. Of course, you can't force someone to take a job they don't want, but it is my intention to keep Jay Fleming as the safety service director. As far as if he should resign in the near future, we fill that position the way we do all of our other positions. We post it, take applications, and we're looking for people who have the capacity to do the job, an ability to learn new things, and a desire not just to do the job, but to do it well. Thank you.
We are now going to enter our closing statements. Ms. Egler Evans, you will go first. Mr. Markwood, you will go second. Mr. Fisher, you will go third.
Together we will rebuild. I am for the people. This is my hometown, Van Wert. I remember its confidence, its charm and beauty. We can do it. We must communicate with the elderly and the young. Youth is leadership tomorrow. We must be their mentors, pointing out the good in them, saying that was an excellent decision. But most important, tell them why. My father would say, that's a feather in your cap, Linda. He would not preach. He was constantly placing me in puzzles where I had to discover for myself. We need you, you young people, men and women. Together we can do this. A mayor is like a coach to give praise to the team. The city council, to hurt them is to cut off your own foot. In this world, nationally and locally, we are in great upheaval. Our institutions in Van Wert are going through change. Our beautiful Broomback Library, Wasserberg Arts Center, even the Methodist churches, our city government, downtown Van Wert, and right in this building, Van Wert Live, will be getting a new director. As I went walking, I discovered we in Van Wert are a people of deep faith and confidence and common sense. I have listened and I am listening. You are smart. You want to be heard. Together, we will rebuild Van Wert.
4 years ago, I asked people to vote for me based on my description of the type of mayor that I thought I would be. You've now had 4 years to see exactly what type of mayor that I am. Now, you don't have to think I'm the best mayor in the history of the world, but if you think we're making progress, if you think we're heading in the right direction, I would be honored to receive your vote. Thank you.
I've been born and raised here, had a business for almost 50 years here. My daughter's got a business here. My whole family is invested in Van Wert. I want to see it move forward as much as anybody, and I'll do anything I can to help it move forward. Like I said, I've been on the airport board for over 10 years. I've been president for 4. I'm on the design review board for the city. I've been out here at the Performing Arts Center. I'm head of the safety team out here. I've been here for 16 years. I'm into a little bit of everything here for Van Wert. I don't see that changing. I'll always support it. More than willing to do the job, work hard. The only thing I ask is you go vote, whether it's for me or whoever, go vote. We need to see a bigger representation at the polls. Thank you.
You plan the entire night, but you forget to tell your students how we're going to close, so I guess I'll just take care of these responsibilities. I want to take a moment to thank all the candidates to be here tonight. Obviously, when you run for office, You want to be in the public eye and you want to get your opinions out there, but they by no means had to be here this evening. So I would like to take a moment to applaud each of them for being here. And one other group that I think deserves a round of applause are these students that are sitting here in front of you. There may be a few in the back of the room as well, grouping over here. There was probably about 50 students altogether from my various government classes that had a role. They aren't all here this evening, but there was a lot of planning to work out our steps, our rules, our procedures, sending out press releases, and just contacting people in the community to try to get them here. And this is a pretty full room, and I'm proud of that fact. And they really deserve a round of applause as well for all the hard work. And with that, I really appreciate everybody being here. Again, you're supporting our students here at Mayoral High School, but you're also supporting the civic process. And I think that says a lot about our town and what we stand for. There is going to be a meet and greet. If you would like to continue any questions or speak with any of the candidates on any of the issues that they mentioned tonight, they do have some materials. We'll get those out momentarily, but they will be in the back at the 3 tables that you passed when you came in. So I'm going to actually release the candidates first. If you would like to exit the stage and go out to your tables, and then please feel free, if you would like to take some time to talk with any of them, you can do that momentarily once they have taken their seats out. Other than that, we wish everybody a safe drive home, and again, thank you for coming tonight.